All right. I apologize, everyone, if anybody's getting on now. I was on before, right at 10 o'clock, but it appeared I was contacting people said they couldn't see the show. So can you see it now? Okay, good. Yes, so we're back. Again, we like to be prompt. We were on at 10 o'clock, but we had a malfunction of the junction or whatever it was. So again, we want to make sure we send out messages to our families and people involved in that bridge collapse in Baltimore. It must have been a scary scene. Again, at night, it was dark. Bridge just collapsing, not knowing what's going on. So, all right, we've got some people coming on the show. All right, that's better. We again apologize to everybody. We were on earlier. We were on at 10 o'clock, but for some reason it was showing me that I was on, but it wasn't showing everybody else. Sheena from Singapore, how are you? There she is, popping up there on the screen. Beautiful Singapore. Did you know in Singapore that no more in the Philippines? Women, particularly women, but men as well, point with their lips. It's like they go like this. I don't know why, but I guess it's one of those funny things. I guess it's kind of like in Canada. Why do we say "a" at the end of every sentence, right? Mark Stamps, how are you? From New Jersey, good to see you. Susan Brooks from beautiful New York, you magical creature. How are you, Lorraine? Good morning to you. Again, I apologize to everybody. We were on at 10 o'clock, but for some reason, it showed me that I was on. I was sitting there talking to myself, which I guess I do a lot of that. But I was told that I was not on Facebook. So, but we fixed that problem. On now. All right. So our Rangers are the first team to 100 points, right? Is that right, Susan? I think so. They're playing well. Everybody I talked to really thinks the Rangers are playing way better hockey. You know, Panarin. Be interested to see what happens with Panarin. This year's playoffs, he's had two playoffs that were subpar for him, especially how well he's played in the regular season. So, but we'll see shortly how that goes. We're about 10 games left. I think the Rangers got a good chance to win the President's Trophy. I don't know if that's good or bad. Sometimes that's a bad luck winning the President's Trophy, but New Jersey is still hanging in there. Susan Brooks, yes. All right, so I did a lot more research on this whole bidet thing. Let's get to this. I'm really confused with the whole bidet thing. It just seems like the whole. Maybe that should be something we get on ourselves here as a team and kind of reinvent the wheel here a little bit with the bidets, because I think a lot of the videos I saw, you sit down. There's no guide to show where your butt should be, like where the water's pointing up. I guess you can adjust yourself while you're going, but I mean, so let's say you just miss it entirely, and the water goes shooting up your back. You just got a shirt on. It's like you got to, throw in the dryer and everything. It seems like it's a poorly thought out thing. Bidet. It's been around for, it was like 300 years or something, right? Like that. But it's something I'm fascinated with. Want to learn more. So we've got Easter coming up. My family, we usually don't get together for Easter, I don't think, but my family wants to get together. My son, his wife, and the other son and his girlfriend. We're going with steak. We can get some nice steaks from Costco, grill them up, get this charbroiled steak on the grill, make up a little butter, garlic. I haven't really done this much. I watched a lot of recipes where they cook up the garlic so it's nice and soft. So then you kind of mush that together with the butter and maybe some chives, and pour that nice sauce over the steak. Oh my goodness! I think then we're going to go with nothing. We bought some corn on the cob. We'll do that. We'll wrap that in tinfoil. Put some butter inside the tinfoil. Salt and pepper that up a little bit, and then cook that on the grill as well. Get a little char on that my corn on the cob, and then we're going to make some. We're going way off the map here with some cheesy bread. We're going to make some sourdough bread, slice it in half, make a loaf, slice it in half, make one half with garlic butter on it, and the other half with garlic butter plus cheese. Put that in the broiler. Broil it up. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Some calories in that meal, not the healthiest. A lot of butter. And maybe I'll ask everybody what they want, baked potatoes or not. But I think like having the bread and the baked potatoes is kind of a little bit redundant. Really into the sourdough, getting that down. I realized I was using a lot of people don't even use yeast at all. Apparently, it makes it not as sour. You get the health effects of the sourdough bread. I guess it lowers your glycemic level. Well, I saw one guy video saying that you can eat it with impunity, which you eat a lot of it. So I don't know if I go that crazy with it, but But at least when making pizza or like the garlic bread, at least it's healthier bread. No additives or preservatives in it. And I got a better yeast. That's why I was bringing up yeast. I was using an active or an instant yeast. It was more for bread makers. This one I got is the proper one. I believe now it's much better performance. It's fluffier bread. Oh, like this, the pizza crust is nice. What else is going on, everybody? Again, we've covered that. A lot of guys, I'm telling you, are hurting. That whole thing with Chris Simon. I don't know. I don't mean to, raise a red flag like that, but I heard some more details about it. It was pretty gruesome what happened with him. So, again, our hearts and prayers. I guess our hearts and prayers, yes, go out to his family as well. I think he had multiple kids. And what I understand, two of his kids were in the house at the time. They were not there and witnessed it. They're in the house, so they weren't actually. And I guess their mother was there as well. I guess it was an ex-girlfriend or ex-wife or whatever. So she went in and saw it. So that's going to be a gruesome scene as well. Again, we were mentioning before. I think when I wasn't on, when I thought I was on, and listening to our boy Boomer Esiason this morning, him Gio, who I love to listen to them in the morning. WFAN radio here, CBS Sports, and they were talking about women posting a TikTok about they're randomly walking down the street and they're just getting sucker punched by men. It's like it's getting nastier and nastier out there. People need to be careful, like in the subway in New York City. Oh, again, our prayers go out to the police officer that we lost as well in New York City by a career criminal, shot him. Saw videos posted, I think, on New York Post of the seconds after he was shot. He was in a lot of pain too. So it's, but again, the poor family. I think he had 2 young kids and obviously a wife. A lot of nasty stuff. We need to be careful out there. Take care of each other. What else is going on today? It's going to be interesting. Imagine if you were in Baltimore too. It's bad enough people died in that accident, but that was a major highway for people. Now they got to get around that. So a lot of stuff going on in the world. It's terrible. But like this Shohei Ohtani stuff, the baseball player that they're trying to figure out whether he was betting on baseball. He's admitted that he sent money into a bookie. His story, I believe, still is that he was sending on behalf of his interpreter, who was his friend. But I don't know. They said at first it was like $4.5 million. He admitted to sending 2 $500 chunks, $500,000 chunks. So, I mean, he's got what they've done to Pete Rose. Pete Rose was a star player, and they banned him. He's not allowed in the Hall of Fame or anything. So, Shohei Ohtani, if they can prove that he's done what it looks like he's done with the gambling, they're very clear. Now, here's the thing too, and one of the fans on Boomer Geo actually brought up. So he doesn't speak English. So they have meetings at the start of the year, and they explain to everybody what the gambling rules, what you can and cannot do. Could he then say, listen, I didn't understand it. My interpreter was there, but he lied to me. He didn't tell me all the truth, so I didn't understand it. Is that possible? I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. Deb Anderson, magical creature, how are you? Deb and I are closing in on the book. Deb's played a huge role here. Again, when we started the book, it's awful. I can't remember his name. Oh, it's terrible. The guy that started the book for us was doing a fantastic job. When the pandemic hit, he thought his wife was going to lose her job, so he had to take on more work to make sure he was taking care of the family. And I can't even remember his name. He's a friend of mine. It's awful. Man, I got a senior moment there. David Siegerman, God. And he's doing a really good job. And Deb just picked up and continued on. Some interesting, I'm really interested in the way Deb's formed things. We sit and talk about what we want in the book, and then she writes it, and very cool stuff. What else is happening? So that's going to be done by April. The book will be done. Yes, Susan Brooks will be done by April, guaranteed. And what else is going on here? My sourdough is coming along. Oh, again, he has a big meal coming up on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. Again, we hardly ever have steak. I haven't had steak in months, but we're going to get some steaks at Costco. Slice those up nice. Marinate them. Put a little dry rub on them tonight, or not, on Saturday night. Leave them in the fridge. Oh, yeah. Salt them up, pepper and everything. Grill them on the grill. I like to get mine nice charbroiled on the outside. nice medium rare, like maybe 130 degrees. Let it rest for 10 minutes. Oh, put that butter sauce on, butter, garlic. Oh, I think we can get a New York strip steak. Yeah, I think we'll get the New York strip steak. Yes. I was at Costco yesterday. I didn't want to get the steak too early, but I needed some stuff. I'm really going to use my fresh lemons now too. I was using this Susan Brooks. I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, funny on the book. I've been using the fresh lemons. I was using this lemon juice in a container, what do you want to call it? But I ran it across my Yucca app, which tells us how healthy stuff is, and it was not too good. There's a lot of preservatives and additives. So I'm learning more and more about the foods. Particularly, I love Costco, obviously, but again, they just have to store their stuff for a long time. So a lot of preservatives and additives. I really recommend this Yucca, YUKA app. And, listen, you don't have to follow it like a Bible, but it really shows you, like, again, I've used the example of the canned tuna, for example. So the Kirkland brand in Costco, you run it, Yucca, you scan the barcode, and it's not very healthy at all. Actually, it gets a really low score, I think like 20 out of 100. So it gets a score up to 100. Obviously, the closer to 100, the better it is. And then it breaks down for you what is bad in it, what's good in it. But then right beside the Kirkland brand, there's Bumblebee in it, tuna. It's pretty much the same price. And you give it a scan. There's very few. It's much better. Like it's like 90 or something like that. So much less additives and preservatives. So it's just interesting using that app to you can see what's in your foods. Again, if you have a food that you hardly use that much, and it's like once a week or whatever, and it does have a great score, well, that's not a bad thing. As long as the rest of your diet is pretty nailed down. I got to get some pickle juice. We did that show with Mark Puttenvink and Molly, and we talked about pickle juice being very healthy for you. So I've never seen pickle juice, so I guess I've really never looked for pickle juice. I didn't know it was a thing. So very healthy. But I'm not you know what? I'm not a pickle guy. I don't know if I've ever had a pickle. I must have had it when it was smaller, but I think it's a texture thing. I didn't realize recently that it was just a cucumber that's vinegar, but very healthy for you. But I think it's a texture thing. Same with like broccoli, or no, not broccoli. Yeah, broccoli and asparagus. Yeah. My mother used to boil those up, and so the texture was like the asparagus was. I love my mother to death. She actually ended up being a really good cook, but she boiled it. It was like eating cardboard or something like that. Very healthy for you. So I've learned, and she did too. Like I've put it in the air fryer now. So let me see. Oh yeah. So reminder. Thank you for bringing this up, Deb. So we, because of time constraints, we're moving the show with Mark and Molly from 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning to 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. It just works out better for everybody. So it was still the show. I was really liking those shows. Very informative. Both those two are very informative, knowledgeable on diets and health. And again, that's one of the hard things. Like I really got stuck in watching those. Well, not stuck. I enjoy it. Watching those reels on Instagram. And there's everybody. Like there's so many guys and women getting on there. Going, well, this is by far the best thing that they're always talking. This is the best thing that you're ever going to do for yourself. Or 95% of this. Like this one Gary guy is just driving me nuts. I guess he helped. I didn't realize he helped either Joe Rogan or Dana White with their diet or something like that. And now he's trying to make himself famous. And I'm a big Joe Rogan fan, and this guy's been on Joe Rogan. But some of the stuff, like he says, he talks about how, and I asked Molly about this, where he was saying if you blend up your fruits, it's less nutrition. I can't remember how he said it, but there's less nutrition in it as opposed to just eating it whole. And it just didn't make any sense to me. And Molly said the same thing. No, that's just not true at all. And there's a guy that follows this Gary guy, another guy that seems like he's very intelligent, and he goes along and debunks all the stuff that this Gary is saying and comes up with scientific facts of why it isn't true. And I think it's a joke because there's so much stuff out there. The way they sell it, like they're just positive. Like this Gary said, well, scientists put 26,000 people in a room one day. Well, again, that's not a room. That's a stadium. And he said that he studied them. And it's like the way he says it's like one day. How are you going to study 26,000 people in one day? So he just so much misinformation. You really got to do your homework. And again, the way they sell it, and again, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan's, but there's a lot of guys out there and women who are preaching that they really know all this stuff with some certainty. These new philosophies on fitness and health, and they're always trying to sell something too, right? So they're trying to make it sound like they're experts. Like I don't necessarily believe in all the like the cold water baths, and all this kind of stuff, and the infrared sauna and everything. I just think like and we survived pretty good before. Now, some of the stuff may be true and may be good for others, if you want to. But there's so much stuff out there. If you did all the stuff that everybody else is talking about, wouldn't have any time in the day. What else is going on in the world? I'm trying to think. Oh, how about was it P. Diddy? Sean P. Is it P. Diddy or whatever? With getting raided? Is that he's like, it's not funny. I shouldn't laugh about it, but that he's working in the sex slave trade. Oh my, jeez. I saw in the paper today where 50 Cent's ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or something like that was one of the people he was hiring to have sex with him. Man, sick stuff out there. Man. And we don't even hear all of it too, right? I know I've talked about it before. The kid I coach, who's a kid now, he's 33 years old, same age as my oldest son, Shane. He had a great kid, very intelligent. He had a pet squirrel and had like 10 million followers. Pet squirrel. Then he went over this website called OnlyFans, and apparently this is quite a place for people to make a lot of money. Like women are selling pictures of their feet, making millions of dollars. He got on with his girlfriend, and I'll let you. Once you go, okay, if you ever go to watch him or see his stuff, his name's Squirrel Daddy 12, I think he's called. Him and his girlfriend made $150,000 the first month on this OnlyFans. But again, I caution you, if you go to look at him, you cannot unsee what you're going to see with him. But I talked to him. It's a business for him now. I think he's making like $800,000 or $900,000 a month now for the stuff he's doing. Moved up to upstate New York, bought a farm, really into animals. They kind of got like a sanctuary for animals up there. Really intelligent though. Like I don't know how this came about, but he bought, it was like 250 acres or something, I think. And now he rents that out to a solar company. They put solar panels in the ground there, and it'll be like he sits there and makes money. Like they send him a check every month for the rent, and he has like a 25-year contract with these guys. Like so he's really intelligent. Like it's not like it's a porn site or something, but he's got business people working with him, like accountants, lawyers, and everything. It's just the business. He uses his body basically to, yes. 50 cents down to 30 cents, dude. Yes, that's right, Jack. Yeah. I like how I'll tell you one of the Jack, how are you doing? Good to see you, brother. I like how the press secretary, I can't remember her name. Poor girl. I mean, you can't honestly go home feeling good about yourself after, like, Joe Biden he's ill. And I'm not saying that as a critical thing. He obviously has dementia, some mental health issue. And there's that one reporter, this one guy, he's constantly bringing it up. And I think he likes it. He's like, he's stirring the pot. She's always like, no, he's fine. There's no problems whatsoever. He's totally, any sane person that watches has to see, and again, not in a bad way. Like, to me, I feel more bad than, like, what's his family thinking, putting him up on the stage like that? Like, that's the way he's going to remember. Did you hear about the teacher who had an OnlyFans site and made more money on OnlyFans than teaching? Yeah. So why buy teaching, right? Oh, it's and some of the sick stuff out there. This kid I coached was telling me that people ask him to do. It's just like, and we're joking, like, okay, have people always been this sick, but they never really had a platform before, or is it that people now are becoming creepier or something? Because the stuff he gets asked to do, and they pay him tons of money, so he does it. KJP is her name. That's right. She has like, oh, I know. You feel bad. Like, obviously this is her job. She's got to defend the president, but she's got no credibility whatsoever. And I would say the same thing, Republican, Democrat, whatever it is. To talk about how Joe Biden, like, there's the funny videos where they put together like stuff that he said or tries to say or wandering around on the stage. Like, it's terrible because it's a sick man. I don't want to be laughing about it. But for people to get up and try to say that he's fine when he wanders around the stage like he does. Yeah. Ken R1, how you doing there, brother? Good to see you again here. Yeah. So it's like I like being Mr. Positive and everything, but sometimes I think, like, you kind of wonder, like, with the stuff that's going on, we don't hear everything. I was on Facebook or Instagram the other day, and there's an explosion in downtown Fort Worth. It blew up windows for a whole block. There's no mention of it in the news. I mean, it's a building blew up in downtown area, and it's just nothing. My feelings. This whole and I don't really think it's a conspiracy theory. I'm big into thinking that it's just factual. It's BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, these big investment houses worth trillions of dollars. They own pieces of each other's companies and everything, and they own everything. They own, a large majority of fast food companies, pharmaceutical companies, media outlets. So they control what's said out there. And it's like watching, like getting on and reading USA Today, for example, like the front page. God, some of the stuff that they claims is important for us to know, and some of the weird stories out there too. It's and again, I wonder, are we hearing more of the weird, creepy stories because there's more like with all the internet and TikTok and everything? Let me see here. Susan Brooks. Oh, hold on. We gotta get Susan's up here. Hold on. It would be a complete travesty if Panarin is not one of the top 2 candidates for Hart Trophy. Yeah, well, but here's the problem though, and I'm with you. He's a great player, but we've got Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Kucherov, all having the seasons they're having too. I'm with you, Susan. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't get in the top 3, but he should be because of the season he's having. But again, you got some of those guys like McKinnon and Kucherov, and McDavid. It's almost like, okay, even if they don't have quite as good a season, their reputation is quite often what gets them up there. But I think all 4 of those guys, if you throw Panarin in that, all deserve to be. You can all make arguments that all of them should win that Hart Trophy. But yes. I know I'm a huge Nathan MacKinnon guy, but obviously Panarin too. So, Alex Lafreniere coming on. Thank God. It took Guy Lafleur 2 years for Lafreniere's coming. See, I agree. Nathan MacKinnon, I mention him all the time, especially because he's out in Colorado there. When he first started, I think it was 3 or 4 years for him too. Again, I've told the story. We had David McNabb on who covered them before we lost him, and I liked Nathan MacKinnon, and he was like I really heard like negative stuff come. Like he was trying not to be like ripping him apart, but he really hasn't come along though. I hoped he would. And now you watch him, you can make a real solid argument that he's the best player in the league. It's tough to do. There's a lot of great players in the league right now, but with Lafreniere, that's the thing. It's tough because if he isn't playing, here's the hard part. You want to get him on the ice enough. You need to develop him. He's not going to develop sitting on the bench. But if you're not performing, then the rest of the team's like, hey, we want to win. It's not our job to develop this young guy. We want to win. So it's a tough line. And you got to have a real strong locker room. And I think the Rangers do that they understand. Tom, what is holding you back from greatness? Is it skating? See, I don't think really. Well, okay. So you watch Nathan MacKinnon, the work ethic, like he works out during the summer with Sidney Crosby out eastern Canada. And very often now, like these guys, and I'm not saying Lafreniere is not working to that level, but these guys, like the Nathan MacKinnon's, they just work. I mean, they hire trainers, they hire dietitians, they hire like they really work at their craft during the summer and get ready for the season. And when they come to play, what happens is like Nathan MacKinnon is a perfect example that he works so hard at the game. He knows deep down inside that he's done the work, so it gives him kind of a license to be powerful, like be confident in himself. I don't see that quite that level yet with Lafreniere. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. Doesn't mean he won't get there. But I'd like to see. And again, I don't know for sure on this, so I don't want to start saying stuff that's not true. Does he really work as hard as those guys? If you want to be a star player now, man, look at quarterbacks in the NFL. Again, I'm such a big fan of boomers. Like you listen to him talk about how Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, they kind of took the quarterback play to a different level, largely because of their preparation. Like they talked about how with Peyton Manning, he would know every player on the field. He would know their role in that play when he called the play. He was so prepared. I mean, again, I want to be careful so I don't see Lafreniere, but I just don't see that. I don't see that like killer confidence in himself. Like those guys that work like that, you can see, no, I'm going to do it. Like even if they make a mistake, they're not changing anything, right? They're going back harder at it. And a lot of it is just that preparation because now deep down inside, if you haven't done the work too, right? And also know if you have done the work. And you can't kid yourself. You may be able to fool other people, but you can't kid yourself deep down inside. So, Matt Ramp play the spark. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I agree. Yeah, he's again. It seemed like he learned his lesson after that suspension, not taking bad penalties. But that's part of the thing. Like, yeah, if you're going to play that role, the coach and the players and the team have to understand. Once in a while, he's going to go over the line. Like Tom Wilson's a great example. I know Ranger fans don't like him too much, but I'm sure the Washington fans love him. but he's gone over the line. And part of that is to go over the line. Brad Marchand's like that too. The guys in the other team know, okay, so usually, especially now in the game, they think, okay, the rules are going to protect me. But if there's a player that goes beyond the rules, they think, okay, I could be in danger out here because this guy just doesn't care about the rules. And to have that reputation helps him a lot too. So let me see. Henrik the Knight said confidence again and said he finally sees enough for you getting confidence. Yeah, I agree with that. He's getting better. Again, I just don't, and it's unfair to him to put him in Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, put him at that level. He's like hasn't played it long, so, but he'll, again, if people around him can get to him and not let him get complacent, like one of the things, you want to look back at your end of your career and say to yourself, listen, I got the most out of my career. Like, so when I watch Nathan McKinnon, I watch Connor McDavid, I just think to themselves, when they're done their career, man, the work ethic they put into it, the way they come to play every night, they're going to say, okay, yeah, I feel good that I really got the most out of my career or close to it. Tom, once again, as you have taught us, the mind is so important. Oh yeah, totally. And I'm learning more and more all the time how important your mind is as it pertains to your body. And just, and again, I know I'm repeating myself here, but it's that work ethic that you put into the game. Like if people lose their confidence, like people come to me and say, Tom, how do I get my confidence back? I'll just say, listen, are you getting out on practice early? Are you staying late? Are you working out in the weight room? Are you riding the bike? Are you eating properly? Then once you do all those things, now again, you don't even think about it really. It's just your subconscious mind now knows, okay, I'm prepared because this man prepared me. So, by the work ethic. And then when you get out there, again, when you watch McKinnon, he's a bull out there too. It's like you can tell he runs over people too, just because he knows he's done the work. He knows he's been in the weight room. He knows he's eaten properly. So he knows, okay, I know I can do it. And if he ever falls down and gets knocked down, he gets right back up again. He hits a bat, I guess. Let me see here. Unless you're practice watching their friend, I don't think it's fair. Or suggest his work. I agree totally, Susan. I hope I made that really clear. I have not been there. So I don't know. I guess all I'm saying is he working out to the level of those Nathan McKinnons and Connor McDavid? So I agree 100%. It's unfair for me to say that he's not. I just don't see him at that level yet. And maybe he does work exactly like those people do. So you're totally correct. I'm glad you said that. Let me see. Yeah, Susan is right. Remke can skate for a big man. He's not a Dave Brown. Oh no, he can skate. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing now. Back when, that's a good example, when back in the 70s, 80s, and some in the 90s, you could have a tough guy on the team that really couldn't play that well. Dave Brown was a perfect example, because he just fought. But now you can't have that on the team. Like even Reeves, is starting to get a little slower, can still skate and still play. But Remke can play, can skate. He's big. So yeah, you can't have a guy on your team that is just a tough guy now and not be able to play. You have to be able to put him on the ice and trust him that he's going to make the right plays too. So, no, I agree 100%. So again, Susan, I hope you're right. I want to make sure I'm clarified on that too with Lafreniere. I don't know his work ethic. I wouldn't know from good or bad. I heard some talk early when he first came in that maybe he wasn't in the best shape. That's an 18-year-old kid. And again, I don't even know if that's true. That was more hearsay. So, but I just, you see these top players now. It's a business for them. And rightfully so. Each guy, you're making 10, 12, $14 million a year. That's a business, right? Your own little business. And what they're good at is although they have coaches already, trainers, they go out and, hire trainers, dietitians to cook meals for them properly. We had the guy working at Kentucky Fried Chicken cooking our meals. Yes, I agree. So again, Capo Caco's playing better too, right? Susan, I think you'll jump in on that. And it's still not where you'd want him to be. The team that's really this year that's really interesting is the Jersey Devils, right? I mean, man, if they don't make the playoffs, we're like 5 or 6 points out of a wild card spot. Obviously, already getting rid of a coach. And again, you can't knock it because Lou Lamoriello fired coaches all the time, and sometimes right at the end of the season. But when you fire Lindy Ruff and they're already out of the playoff spot. How much of a difference does that make? It seems like it has not made that much of a difference. So, let me see. Yeah, Jay Miller and Chris Nina's podcast spoke of how Nicky intimidated him when they all played together in camp. Summer Lee, Jay Miller. Yeah, That's interesting. I didn't know he said that because Jay doesn't get intimidated by too many people. But oh yeah, Nicky. Well, and again, I talked about it before, where Nicky was a good, and he was a good team player, but he would cross the line too. Like he had a reputation where, okay, be careful, because Nicky will play straight up with you, but then all of a sudden he could snap on you too. I was watching the game the other night. We were playing like Quebec or something like that, just a random game, and he had 6 minors in the game. I remember sitting on, and he just kicked the feet out of some guy too. It was a clear penalty. And he's sitting on the bench and they get the camera on him and he's shaking his head like, that's just ridiculous. He's funny. Oh yeah. He can be he's a scary dude. Let me see. Yeah. Capo's game is his strength. He protects the puck with his body, pushes guys off. Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear you got more of a scouting report than I do. Thank you, Susan. Yeah. It's good. I've heard good stuff about him. And did you mention something that what's going on with Hedel? Did they ever diagnose him with what he's got? What's happened with him? I haven't heard. Too bad. I liked his game. I thought he was coming along really well, like driving to the net and everything. Oh God, I know I said this before. It's so funny. Like I guess because there was no YouTube or anything when we played. And now, like I played 40 years ago, or whatever it was. So now to watch yourself play. It's hilarious. Like like you make a good play or whatever. You go, wow, that was a good play. You're kind of fired up about it because it's been so long since you saw yourself. The same thing, you make a bad play. Oh God, I turn it off. I get mad at myself. And as soon as I turn it off, I start laughing at myself because how mad I got when I made a bad play. No, I think I told the story already. But I was watching the game 4 of the Kings series, 80-81. We're at the Garden. If we won that game, the series is going to be over with. And I was playing pretty well. I was carrying the puck up the ice, and Dubes was about 5 feet ahead of me. He was on fire. And like I was supposed to do as my role as a player was to move it up to Dubes, just 5 foot, simple little pass. And the puck just exploded. It's like it was a grenade or something. It bounced up in the air. And I think I was used to making so many mistakes that as soon as I lost the puck, it went right to Larry Murphy, Hall of Famer. He was a rookie that year. And ultimately became a Hall of Famer. And I just went and ran right over. It's like there was no hesitation. And I think I say that because we talk about kids and teaching them. Listen, you're going to make mistakes in life, on the ice, all that. And I guess I'd just been used to making mistakes all the time. So there's no hesitation. Like you can't sit there and say, "Oh, poor me," or "bad play," or throw your hands up or whatever. Just ran right over. And then Sergeant Steve Vickers got the puck and had an opportunity to score. So it looked like it's a great play. It's like, what a mudhead. Like it's just like the puck exploded. All I had to do was like a 5-foot pass. Oh, man, that's funny. So if a team plays better with one of their stars is out, the Rangers must be on fire since they didn't have Trouba. I think Susan is referencing to a comment I made years ago where I was on the show with Kevin Allen and somebody was missing. I said, well, sometimes the teams will play better when they lose a star player because everybody has to step up. And Susan and Kevin have both given me a hard time since then. They're saying that, don't have Trouba. That's right, Trouba and Lindgren. My point is, so I'll give you an example. So when Barry Beck played, I had a much lesser role. Like he was on number one. Sometimes he and I would go out together, the number one penalty killing unit. I definitely was not on power plays. Froze up again here. Hold on, everybody. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I apologize. My computer glitches. Okay. Now we're back. All right. Sorry, everybody. Every show, it seems like it happens. Okay, so I was using an example of Barry Beck. So Barry's the dominant player. I didn't realize how dominant he was. Right? He had power plays, penalty killing, shooting, fighting, scoring. He could do it all. He was really. I would like to see if he played longer, didn't have a bad shoulder and everything. Because in my mind, he definitely would have been a Hall of Famer. But so when he played, again, my role was the secondary role. I would still play the same amount, but it was like first power play he'd go for. I would go some days I would go for power plays, not often. Penalty killing again. Sometimes he and I would go together. I was if he wasn't tired, he'd be the number one penalty killing unit with me or somebody else, and then I'd be second. So you still get the same ice time. So, but he would get hurt. I would have more responsibilities. So people would come to me and say, "Why don't you play the same way when Barry's not hurt?" But the explanation is that Barry's there. Like if you're going to be a good assistant captain, and for me that was an important part of my game, understanding my role. That again, not thinking you're not as good as Barry Beck, but Barry Beck was the dominant player. I would play the secondary role, and that was fine. So that happens. I guess I tell that story again because when those big time players are out of the lineup, other people get more responsibilities and have more. Again, especially if you're a good team player, okay, well, I have to step up and do more. Like my role isn't typically to carry the puck from end to end, but I may have to do more of that. Again, you can't get out of your playing style. You still got to play your game, but you can do more when a Barry Beck's out. So that was a big part. I didn't realize at the time, looking back, that was a big part of my game, being that team player where, okay, I wasn't going to get recognition. So even when I watch these old games, our own broadcasters, I'll make a good play and they'll just totally dismiss it, which is fine. That's your role. And I think part of it is, and this is about life too, in work, your relationships. If you're the person that shows up every day, then when you do your job, nobody says anything because you're doing it every day. If you don't do it, or if you're inconsistent with your effort or your performance, then when you do a good thing, I say, well, that was a great play, because they're not used to making a great play all the time. So again, and my role is not to make great plays. It was make smart little plays all the time, like picking for people. It's really funny watching the games, like thinking, okay, I forgot that I played that way. And you got to be confident in yourself. And I was lucky too, having Herb Brooks coach me. Like he was being very clear, this is your role, and if you play your role, you'll get played in that role. So it was a two-way street. I had to sacrifice, but take away some of my offensive play that I don't know, it wouldn't have been there or not. And he made sure that I got all those defensive opportunities. And then, I was like, my teammates, you recognize it. The captain, assistant captain, player awards. So when those things are happening to you, you say, okay, this is working the way it's supposed to be working. I'm getting rewarded one way or the other for doing my job. And that's what everybody in life wants, that too, right? You want a pat in the back every once in a while for no. That's why it's important to look in the mirror and say, listen, if you're working hard, and like physically in the gym, if you're working hard, look in the mirror once in a while and say, okay, you're looking good, you worked hard. If you're a student and you're looking in the mirror, is maybe looking at your grades and say, okay, I'm working hard at my school, I've got good grades. So it's important to look at along the way. Don't stop the world and just like stare at yourself, but it's important to look and say, okay, things are going, I'm putting the work in. So it's more good. What I will give you, Zach Jones has taken the opportunity to run it, but getting his extra playing time. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great point. And that was the thing for me. Like my first year, we went to the semifinals. That was a huge year for me. I was one of only 3 guys, I think, to play all 80 games. There was injuries. So I got to play a lot. I remember there was one game in the second game in the LA series, we had the big brawl, and Gresh was playing forward at the time. There's only Dave Maloney, Carol Vadi, and myself as defensemen that didn't get thrown out. So they moved Gresh back. We went with 4, and that was great. I mean, it was a playoff game. So to play with 4 defensemen in a playoff game it's tough. You got to be careful. And I was really, I got a lot more opportunities. Really made me feel good about my game. So no, but right. Opportunities come along, you got to take advantage of as a player. We're going to replace Steve Vickers as your tech person for him, Sarge. That was funny. Oh yeah. Yeah. We had Steve Vickers on it. That's just the same thing with a lot of the older guys. They just don't, they have kids that take care of it. Yes, Sarge. We'll see Sarge. That's right. April 2nd, coming up, the Skate with the Greats at the Chelsea Piers. Benefits go to the Ronald McDonald House. I'll be emceeing again. I think it's like the 4th year in a row I'm emceeing. Sarge will be there. Good to see him again. Morning, Tom Rangers. Tom Rangers made Penguins look really old, slow. Yes. And that's pretty good observation, Curtis, because I think that's just accurate. They are old and slow, and the Rangers are that younger, faster team. Although they got some older guys too, but they were older guys like Chris Kreider could fly. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I saw an interview with Sidney Crosby, and he asked when Gensel got traded. They asked him what he thought of it, and I can't remember exactly what he said. You need to go talk to them about that. And management, he was mad. So I'm surprised by that because, and again, when it's a Sidney Crosby type player who's won Stanley Cups for your organization, the way he's led that organization, you kind of do owe him least a sit down to say, okay, you don't have to say this, and we're asking you for permission to do what we're doing, but they've got to start over there now, right? Most teams do. San Jose's going through it now. They get rid of veteran players, get draft picks, build it back up again. That's how you have to do it now in the National Hockey League, the salary cap. But the problem is with Sidney Crosby. Does he want to go through a rebuild? Probably not, right? But again, I think you sit him down and say, have a conversation with him. You should have a relationship with him already and it didn't seem like it from those comments, where you're sitting him down and saying, okay, here's what we need to do for this organization. What can we do to have your career, the rest of your career, go the way you want? Would you like to get traded? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to be part of this rebuild? We have to do a rebuild. Here's and show them why. Here's why we have to do a rebuild. We can't. I mean, they tried. They signed what's the name of the defenseman? Gino, not Gino. They call him Gino. Malkin, and maybe they should have not re-signed them and saved that money for younger players. But then you're sending the message to the fans and to Sidney Crosby, okay, we've quit. We know we're not going to win now. We're giving up these star players. Then they brought Carlson in, right? And I don't. That experiment hasn't worked in a few places for him. Well, not a few places, but San Jose. Again, really talented player, but I just don't view him as that little character guy that helps you win. Yeah, and you're right, Curtis. Thank you, Carlson. And Letang is the other guy I was thinking about too. They re-signed him. Those are the kind of guys. They're past their prime. And if you're gonna rebuild the team, you can't take up all the salary cap space and all the playing time space there too. You need younger guys coming in. But that's the Sidney Crosby thing. You don't want that to end bad. Because he's such a beloved figure. I know Ranger fans don't like him, but man, he's had a fantastic career. The winning, the way his leadership now. I don't think Hal gets enough credit for 20 years in a row being a top 5 scorer. Yeah. Oh, he was amazing. His reputation too was I was thinking, okay, hopefully I'm going to turn pro pretty soon here. He was still playing. And I was thinking, man, I don't want to play against Corey. This is a no-win thing. If you go get into a scrap with a 50-year-old guy when you're 21, and if you beat him, well, what kind of a jerk are you? But he was so tough. You're thinking, well, maybe I won't beat him. Maybe he beat me. So, have you secured your Yager bomb? No, I have not got my Yager. But I got to tell you, what a funny man! Like that line he made when he was back in Pittsburgh and he had his young girlfriend there. He said, "How do you say it?" He says, "Whatever, Anna or whatever her name was." Anna doesn't even remember. Anna's so young she doesn't remember they even played for the Penguins. So the crowd went nuts too. It was that kind of thing where it wasn't the crowd didn't break out in laughter right away. It was they kind of digested and realized what he just said. They really couldn't believe he just said it, and then all of a sudden the laughter starts going more and more. That was pretty classic. Yeah, Yager still playing. All right, what are we doing this weekend? What's going on? Easter weekend. Easter, everybody. Oh man, I know I've talked about the steak. I've got this plan. I haven't had steak in so long. That's the good thing about this going on these reels. Lots of good recipes and everything too. Getting the sourdough bread down, get the right yeast now. The water temperature has to be around 100 degrees as well. Right, that's one of the things we're learning. And our fold or stretch and folds too. It's a big thing. You got to stretch the dough and you got to fold it over. You got to do that every 30 minutes, 4 or 5 times. It gets all the air into it. Then you let it rest. Some people say to put it in the oven with the light on, a little bit of heat, and it rises better overnight. There's other people who say put it in the fridge. I put mine in the fridge; seems to rise better. Again, I mastered I get the bubbles coming up and everything over, so it's nice. Like you put it in there in the fridge in the night, and in the morning you go look at it. It's all the bubbles and everything. Oh, it's mastering the art of sourdough bread. It's an art. It really is. Let me see here. All right, question of the day from Dougie DeVito. Favorite Easter candy, peanut butter eggs. Oh, that's chocolate, right? For some reason, eating a chocolate Easter bunny was tasty. I don't know what it was. Just plain chocolate for me. Peanut butter eggs. Okay, I like that. Everybody give us your opinion. Just plain old milk chocolate. Anyway, show the Easter bunny. I could get an Easter bonnet going. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I've got my Christmas Santa Claus hat. Can't do that with that. Easter bonnet. I don't know. Oh, did everybody see the picture? Who sent it to me? I think Deb sent it to me. The picture of Ron Duguay sitting out in a lawn chair. I think he's up by the water or something like that. He's got a face mask on, like the creams and everything. And he took a picture and posted that. I was like, really? I guess you got to give him credit for courage. He's putting on his facial cream and sitting outside. I think he was reading the newspaper or something too. That was funny. He is his own man. I give Douche credit. He is his own man. He'll do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. I was thinking with the Penguins collapsing, maybe the Rangers can steal Crosby this summer for a good deal. We need another center. Crosby is still great. Good question. Here's the thing with a player of that caliber. It takes obviously going to take up a lot of space in the locker room, your cap space. And again, if they're going to, I doubt if they're going to trade him. If they were to trade him, I shouldn't say I'm doubting that they're going to. I don't think they would trade him to the Rangers. I would doubt that. I think they'd want to trade him to maybe like a LA or something like that. So, playing Easter egg. Easter egg hunts. You know, what's the Easter egg hunt? My 30, my son's going to be mad at me. My 30-year-old son, Cody, sent me a text. He wants to do an Easter egg hunt, but he wants to put like dollar bills. Like he wants to put dollar bills for $20 bills. So he sends me this text, like he's saying, this is a good idea. I should go do this. And both my sons are doing very well financially. And I said, okay, yeah, you can do that. He didn't text back. He's frugal. Doesn't like to spend money, but he saves a lot of money. He's done well, turned into a real gentleman, and done well in business, and he's in the commercial real estate business. More, not as much the development. We're developing funds for real estate. Crosby still very productive. Pens need something back. Rumors are Colorado. Well, I think the rumor of Colorado may be true, but a lot of him and Nathan McKinnon are really tight. So that'd be interesting, right? Like you trade so if you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins and you pay a lot of money for season tickets, then you start one of the three best players, or two best players, Mario Jágr, Crosby, some of like at least top three players in the history of the organization. You then trade them. It's not that it's never happened before. I mean, Ray Bourque got traded out of Boston. He more asked for that trade, but. Yeah, that'd be a tough one. That from management, it's almost like a no-win proposition, right? Because if you're going to trade Crosby away, and then if it's Letang and Malkin, they're gone, Carlson's gone, the team's not going to be as good. So you see, and part of the problem for me is Kyle Dubas is the new GM there now. I'm just not a fan. I just don't think he knows what he's doing. I watched what he did in Toronto. Now maybe he learned lessons from Toronto, but he doesn't seem to know how to put a team together. He can and here's the difference: he'll put talented players together, but that's different than putting a team together of the right people together. You look at Al Arbour, Bill Torrey with the Islanders and their great teams. It wasn't always the best players. It was the right players for each situation of the team. And again, when they went on their run, they had 16 players, I think, played in all five playoffs. All was it 16? How many? No, 19 series that they won in a row. So they kept them all together instead of changing things around all the time. Oh, no, we don't have it right now. Got to do this. And if anything, listen, the Ranger organization did treat me great and continues to treat me great. The one thing I wish we had done more of was stay consistent with management, coaches. Because when a new coach, like again, they had to do it. I mean, they fired Freddie, and then Craig came in and took over, and he was bringing in Herb to coach. Now, the team we had in 80-81 and went to the semifinals was a big, tough, physical team. Grinded out. Like I watched the games we played, man, we just grinded it. Not necessarily always fighting, although we had lots of guys who could fight, but it was like the Dean Talifas of the world, the Jerry Gillis. Lance Nethery played a big role. Peter Wallin, all these guys, they played these like certain roles. They weren't the best players. And we just, again, Herb came in. That's not a team that Herb wanted to have. He wanted to coach the team that he ultimately made the team into, like the 84 team. When he was there for 3 years at that point? 3 years, yeah. Was a totally different team. Much more speed, but still, James Patrick comes in, Bob Brook comes in, Ramo Helminen, all these guys, and they really it was more of a Herb team. But again, so now we had to rebuild. Now Herb gets fired. Now we have to rebuild again. Craig gets fired. Phil comes in, and all stuff with Phil. So it's looking back, it's just, I mean, that's the nature of pro sports. But I wish we could have just stayed together. Either the 80-81 team that we had, or the 83-84 team that we had. I thought those were the two best teams we had. Different styles of teams, but again, you understand it's pro sports. So let me see. What do we got? My nephew. What do you got? My nephew's high mini bottles of booze. There you go. That's not a bad idea. I like that. Shots of tequila. Hey, Tom, did you ever have the option of keeping your jerseys after the end of the season? And what does the team change? No, I do. I have my jerseys up on the wall. I put them in a frame, my Ranger jersey and my Kings jersey. They usually don't They don't charge you. At least it wasn't back then. They don't charge you. And I think they're pretty good with that now. Because again, the game's changed. The dollars, the jersey's $300 now. The money in the National Hockey League is like the leagues. I don't know what they're bringing in. Is it $7 billion now? I don't know what the number is. So, Tom, did you ever speak to Phil Esposito about how great that Bobby Orr was? Scotty Bowman recently said Orr was the best, actually. Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't speak to Phil about it. I don't think, but I was one of the people. I just thought Bobby Orr was. It just changed the game so much. Like it was so far above everybody else. Like when you watch highlights at the end of we've talked this before. It was on CBS on Sunday morning. They have a NHL highlight package. I believe that's correct. And I think it went for, I think it was half an hour. Sure, it wasn't long. But every week, the last 10 minutes was Bobby Orr highlights. It was just every game was like you wanted to watch Bobby Orr play because it was always a highlight. And you think, how is he doing that? It's like everybody else knew what he could do. And there's only 6 teams back then, right? Or I guess ultimately it became 12 teams when he was still playing, I think. But that's the thing. Ovechkin's somewhat like that now with his one-timer shot off the side. It's like, okay, everybody in the world knows where it's going, but he still gets it away. Yuri Kurri was like that, passes from Wayne Gretzky. I remember being on the ice and I was killing penalties and I'm thinking, no way is this pass going through. So I would cut off that lane so he couldn't get it. Wayne would, give it a saucer pass up in the air and it land right there. Yuri Kurri's stick and he'd shoot and score. It was like, God, like how are these guys doing it? It's just they're that talented of athletes. Yes, they are, and that's why they hired Dubas because that's his reputation. He's really been the analytics. My take on analytics: I think if you don't use analytics, that you're foolish as a tool, as one of many tools to make decisions about players, the team. It can't be. I don't think it can be the whole thing, but it's part of it. The eye test is still a big thing to me. You can if you're around the game a lot, around any sport a lot, you can kind of tell like who knows the game, like who really understands how to play, who really comes key situations plays harder, smarter. But again, still look at the analytics. See, I don't like the analytics when they talk about. Here's the problem we have. I'm talking about back-to-back games. So the analytics say you don't play as well, your chances of winning are not as great when you play the second game of back-to-back games. I think that's been ground into the head of players now and management that's the case. I just aren't the Rangers like 11-1 in the second night of back-to-back games? Because I just think you say to yourself, just don't listen to that. I mean, I saw John Tortorella years ago talk about that. No, some reporter asked me, he said, no, the second game doesn't mean anything. I think it's just that it's been ground into the head that you're not going to play as well. So in the back of your mind, here's the mind tricks again. You're being told, okay, I'm not going to play as well. So you don't play as well. Or you think that you're tired. I never even thought it was an issue playing a second night of back-to-back games. It's just we were always tired. The way we took care of us. Kirkpatrick just never gets the credit for his draft with the Rangers. They drafted Yager in Pittsburgh. Oh, Craig, you know what? Craig Patrick does not get near the credit. The job that he did here with the Rangers and the job that he did in Pittsburgh, right? Not just the players, but when he hired Scotty Bowman and Badger Bob Johnson, like that was a brave move. I don't think people realize like a lot of GMs don't want to hire guys like that because they think that guy's going to come in and take my job. Right? These are strong men. They're not backstabbers necessarily, but they're type A personalities that think they want to run the team. So for him to do stuff like that, bringing in Herb was the same way. Herb was not an easy guy to deal with. And then Herb wanted everything changed around. We went to the semifinals in 80-81 before Herb got there when Craig was running the team, both coach and general manager. And then because Herb wanted to come in and have a different team, he got rid of a lot of guys that played key roles. So that takes a lot of courage to do that. Right? We just went to the semifinals and now you're changing the team around. Craig was fantastic. He just great man too. If anything, he cared too much. I know it's hard to say, but we've talked about it. He'd come to some meetings and he'd start crying because he just cared so much about the team. And I loved it. I thought it was great. It showed his emotion. Some guys didn't. It wasn't. They kind of thought it was a sign of weakness or whatever. But Herb's teams went from good to mediocre to good to bad. I more felt, I'd have to look back. I can't really remember all the records of the teams. I felt like, I thought we had like more of a continual rise to the 83-84 team that ultimately lost in the first round to the Islanders. So you look back and say, well, you got to be in the first round, Tom, but that team was good. That player, if anything, we screwed it up. We had it 2-1, game fours at the Garden. We were winning. And they came back, typical Islanders, and they came back and won that game. And then going into game 5, which was the deciding game, that was incredible. People watched that game. That was a fantastic game. And we very often, with a couple of bounces, mean, we had chances. Billy Smith was incredible in the overtime in particular. I turned the puck over to Mike Bossy for his goal. I think was that the first goal for them? And even on that play, I've said to people, I said, I wouldn't change a thing, because I was right on top of Bossy. The puck was on our blue line. And I said, I'm not going to overhandle the puck here. So I deflected it away. It goes right off his foot. But that was, and I talked about this before. You can say, well, that's a lucky play. Well, he does it all the time, though. So yeah, we should have won that game. And no disrespect to Kenny Morrow, but the last guy I think is going to score. I'm in the same category. Both him and I are going to be the last guys who are going to score a winning goal in overtime. But he did. And so, I mean, another bounce in our direction, then, we win that series. And then where do we go? Like we said, Clark Gillies thought we could have won the cup that year. So last night, YouTube, I watched the Rangers Flyers 74. My cousin Will, your cousin was yelling at him. That's cool. Stuff. An interview popped up with Steve Durbano talking about his incident. We pretending he was singing "Everywhere the Moon." I forgot he'd passed away. Wow, he had quite the life. He was a wild man. My cousin was 6'5", the stat cracker. I was laughing. Oh, yes, he was barking at Schultz. I think Schultz was used to that, but that's pretty cool, though. I like that you get that memory. That's cool. Dominant hired Mike Milbury and Milbury assumed. Yeah, there's a good example, right? Again, I'm not a big Milbury fan. I would see him be more of a backstabber, taking Donnie's job away. I can't remember the details of what went on there. Again, with Scotty Bowman and Badger Bob Johnson, I didn't know them that well, but I wouldn't look at them as like backstabbing kind of guys. I just think they're powerful men, really believe in themselves. And if something was going on with the team, they would gladly, retain the charge of the team. But that's what I mean with Craig. Didn't matter if it was right for the team, he was going to do it. You're right. He made great decisions with players. He said in our podcast, he pretty much got fired for drafting Brian Leetch, which is strange to think because at the time he was like 150 pounds. Brian Leetch was, and everybody was saying, I don't remember exactly. Did the management say to him, upper management say, if you hire Brian Leetch, you're getting fired? I can't remember if that was the case, but they didn't want him to draft him, which one of the greatest picks in Ranger history. So, though he stole my number. What happened in 84-85? I can't remember that year. That was the year I ruptured my spleen. I remember that. And we just, I think Herb was still here, right? Did he get fired partway through the year? I remember Dave Maloney was telling the story because Dave got along with Herb great, and then Herb soured on him. Let's be honest, the Herb Brooks Rangers didn't have great goaltending. Oh, well, it's kind of a rotating staff, right? It was Eddie Mio had some great games. Glenn Hanlon had some great games. I guess if you look back and look at their totality of their careers, you would think, those weren't great goaltenders. But man, I watching those games. Goaltending was not our issue. In fact, when we beat the Flyers one series, interviewed Mark Howe, and he talked about that series. Like, didn't we beat the Flyers like 3 years in a row or something in the playoffs? And he just talked about that they thought they played great, but our goaltending was just fantastic. So it's, again, they weren't those big name guys. If you look back and think, well, okay, it wasn't John Davidson, it wasn't, John Van Beesbroek or whatever. But Beezer wasn't. I think he likes himself better than he. Mike Bossy stole the puck from him. No, you know what? It's you should say that he didn't steal the puck from me. It was me there, and there's no question. Again, I went to bat the puck away because I didn't want to overhandle it, and it just bounced off his foot. I remember looking down and seeing the puck hit his foot. I'm going, what? And then we were both standing still at the time, and I just couldn't catch up to him. So, yes. Oh man, that was because we played so good. I was so mad at myself for that play. But again, I look back and I go, no, that's what I was supposed to do. If I handled the puck there and he stole it from me, then it would have been worse. Like, Tom, better. Don't. It was right at the blue line, like maybe inside the blue line. And I remember thinking to myself, get the puck away from here as quick as possible. So I just batted it away and went off his foot. So, but yeah, oh God, I watched that thing. Because again, if that doesn't happen, we win. Well, in theory, we win based on what the rest of the game is like. So let me think. Yeah, what do we got here? Steve Durbano was a first-round pick, 71 along with Steve Vickers, Francis Moose Dupont in the first round. That's right. I forgot that Dupont played here. Yeah, Moose Dupont. Jigs. Full of some great story. Yeah, wasn't I thought that was good. Man, I was so excited. I don't know why I was so excited with Jigs. I guess I really hadn't. We knew each other from all the games we played against each other. You'd see each other downstairs in the locker room and everything. But it really just, same thing with Sam Rosen. Like, just legendary guys. Like, the voices are legendary. I think with Jigs, He's somewhat different in the won the cups. I didn't realize he wasn't here for the first cup for the Islanders. But you just remember his voice, them winning, having all those great series, his voice. And again, just like Sam Rosen, just that distinctive voice too. I remember like at one point I'm on the podcast with him. I'm thinking, I'm listening to Jiggs McDonald to call a game. It was cool. Yeah, but again, I just again looking back at those games, like Eddie Mio had some fantastic games in the early '80s there in playoff series. Glenn Hanlon had some fantastic games. Again, I hear why. Again, if you looked at their careers, you would say, well, Lundqvist obviously had a better career. But for those playoff series, man, they were competitive guys too, both of them. Eddie had a little bit more of the drama to him. Glennie a little bit. Glennie with his focus was just, oh man, it was like I've talked about before, so different. The days off where he wasn't playing, funny guy and everything, but when he was playing a game, he was just wired in. Francis was allergic to tough guys who were driving me nuts. Yeah, that was especially back at a time there where the Flyers were, really becoming the Flyers. So, yes. All right, we're gonna one more question here. The Cats should have kept some toughness around, not have Brad Parker, please. Yeah, yes. That again, going back to what I think it was too. Emil Francis was more used the league really wasn't that tough. Well, it was still tough, but it wasn't like Philadelphia Flyer tough. So it's getting. I think it was kind of like a phenomenon. Like, is this really what the league is going to become? And yeah, if you didn't have toughness in your team there when the Flyers were in the late '70s, '80s, you're gonna have a tough time winning. And then it started to turn a little bit. Late '80s, '90s, it's still tough. But all right, let me see. Yeah, Grattan will be excited about the Clips. That's funny. You know what? There's one of those things too. Like everybody's they're talking about there's going to be this big traffic jam, like they're going to call out the National Guard or whatever because everyone's going. It's an eclipse. Like it's that big of a deal. I don't know. Not for me. I won't lose any sleep over it. But Barry Shelley has finally made it. Good to see you, brother. All right, everybody. Now that Barry's here, we'll see about. Yeah, we had to wait for Barry. All right, everybody. Listen. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Again, let's all help each other out. Again, the 988 hotline for suicide or mental health. There's that shoulder check movement. Let's all check on each other, help each other out. Again, our prayers go out to the people down in Baltimore with that terrible accident. But everybody, let's have a fantastic weekend. We'll see everybody. Oh, again, so just a reminder, that show we do with Mark Puttenvink and Molly will, instead of at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, will now be on 2 o'clock. It was at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. We're now going to do it at 2 o'clock on Friday. That's just the time constraints for all three of us put together. So again, that show, again, I was really fired up about that show. A lot of good, like both of those two really knowledgeable, fitness, health, diet. So I like that a lot. So, all right, let's just get one more, see who we got. What's your Clips with pepper? No, tequila by my side. All right, buddy, have a fantastic weekend.